Are you bad with names? I used to be bad with names. Now I'm actually pretty good. So whether you need work on this or just want to do a little more practice, let's get to it. I'm Alex Lyon, and I'm here to provide communication tips to help you increase your impact and lead your teams with more excellence. I used to be terrible at learning names, but a lot of times I was just distracted. People would say their name, and I just wouldn't be paying attention. I'd be thinking about how I was coming across or thinking about something else, and that's really the first step in learning other people's names, is realizing that when you first meet someone, probably the most important thing you can do in that moment is focus on what their name is and learn it. Make it a priority. Don't accept defeat and say, oh, I'm no good at names. Anybody can get a little bit better with motivation and the right techniques. So let's look at 4 ways that you can remember people's names more effectively, and then 2 ways that you can help other people remember your name. The first way to help remember people's names is by making it visual. So if there's something about their name and you can make a visual association with it, when you look at the person, then you'll think of their name. For example, if I was meeting someone named Sarah and she had a nice smile, I would immediately associate Sarah Smile, which is an old song. It's already in my head, and I'm using that visual association. So the next time I see her, hopefully she'll smile or I'll remember it and it'll trigger the name Sarah. Make it visual. My name is Alex Lyon. By the way, if that sounds familiar, you've probably seen Madagascar. Alex the Lion is the main character in that movie, voiced by Ben Stiller, the animated movie. And so when I meet people, I actually do this for them. I say, it's Alex Lyon, like the character in Madagascar. And they usually go, oh yeah. And now I'm helping them visually associate. Now, if I met someone and that was their name, Alex Lyon, I would picture a lion's mane around their face. I would visualize that, make it visual. And then the next time I saw them, I would see the lion's mane in my mind. And then I would remember Alex the Lion from Madagascar. So make it visual is the first tip. The second tip is to use wordplay. So if the name is Jack, I'm instantly going to think of something I already know that's associated with Jack, like Jumpin Jack Flash, which is a song. I had a friend of mine do this. He's actually a student, a former student. I teach college, and I play this word association name game at the beginning of every semester. And I have them use their name and then come up with some creative way using words like rhyming or other sounds to help us remember. And so I have a student's name, and her name is Aurora, and she came up with Aurora Borealis, which is very memorable. It's something we already have heard. It's about the northern lights. And then every time we would see her, we would think, oh yeah, Aurora Borealis. And it's an easy way through wordplay to remember, because things like rhymes or alliteration, where things start with the same first letter, that's memorable in and of itself. And so by using a little technique like that, it's going to make their name much more memorable. So I do this for other people. I see them, and the visual is the first tip, and then I listen to their name and I do some wordplay as well. The third way is to write it down. You write it down using a pencil and a piece of paper, or you can put it in your phone. If you write someone's name down, you're going to be looking at that name on the paper or on your screen, and it's going to be one more way that it can get in your mind. You might hear it, but then you see it, and it gets in your mind a little more effectively. And you can stare at it for a minute if you have to really internalize it and think of ways to remember it once you're staring at it. And I've even asked people to write their name down in the conversation. Let's say they have a really difficult name that's hard for me to remember. I would say, you know, I really want to remember your name. Could you write it down so I can see what it looks like on paper? I've never had anybody say no. They're always delighted to do it, because chances are if I'm having trouble remembering their name, other people are having trouble remembering their name, and so they'll write it down for you. And then you just throw the paper out afterward once you really have it, or you can delete that from your phone once you really have it. The fourth way is to use it. If you hear yourself say their name, it's one more way to remember it. In fact, if you know you're going to use their name in the conversation, you'll be that much more motivated to remember it in the first place. And I recommend using their name in the conversation just one time. You don't want to be a salesperson or sound like a salesperson and say their name in every sentence. That can feel a little dominating, a little manipulative. I know I don't like it when people use my name repeatedly. I think, what's going on here? What's their agenda? So just say it once. Usually at the end of a conversation, or you're about to depart, that's the easiest time to, you might say, and your name again was Aurora, right? And you hear yourself say it, it gets in there one more time. And it's one more chance, by the way, to clarify. If you've got it wrong, then here's another chance to get it right. So those are 4 ways that you can remember other people's names. Now let's flip the script a little bit and talk about ways that you can help others remember you. A lot of times we take it personally. People don't remember me. What is this? What kind of world are we living in where people can't even remember someone's name? Well, it could be because your name is extraordinarily common, and so there's not a lot to grab onto there, or it's really complicated and difficult, and so they can't associate with anything that they already understand. If your name is really common, you should sound out your whole name. So if my name were John Adams, John is a very common name, I would say John Adams, and that gives their memory something more to work with than just a common name like John or Stephen or Mark. And if it's a female name like Mary, Michelle, those are common names. So if your name is common, use the full name and sound it out. And if your name is overly complicated, you absolutely want to sound out that name. So I met a guy, and his name's not complicated, but it's uncommon. His name is Khalid. He's an acquaintance of mine. And Khalid is not an everyday name for me. And so I was struggling just a little bit, and he helped me. And you want to help people, right? You want to help people remember your name. Sound it out. And he said, Khalid. Lid is the second part, like a hat. And he went like this visually, and that really helped me remember. He's sounding it out and doing something visual. What a great combination. Lid is like a hat. Ka, K-A is the sound. Lid, Khalid. And now I have his name. I only had to hear it that one conversation when he did that, and he sounded it out, and it really stuck. The second thing you want to do when you're seeing someone for the second time is use your name again. Just reintroduce yourself. Everybody loves a reminder, right? So you go to see them again, you say, hi, my name is Khalid. Now, they might say, oh, I remember. Fine, that's good, they remember. No harm in reminding them. It's your name. It's not a party foul to reintroduce yourself. So those are 2 ways. Sound it out for them really carefully, or even your full name if it's a common name, and then remind them of your name the next time you see them, and that'll help them along. So with these 4 techniques to remember other people's names and 2 techniques to help people remember your name, you're going to be equipped to get better at names all around. And remember, as I mentioned, the first step, however, is really understanding that it's that moment when you meet someone to get highly motivated to learn their name and just really commit to that. And that's going to make these techniques much easier to apply. So Communication Coach, this channel is here for tips like this, and certainly names are one basic thing, but all kinds of communication skills to help you increase your game and lead your teams to higher levels of excellence. So if you're interested in these kinds of videos, then I encourage you to start tuning in. Click the subscribe button. You can also post some comments below. Maybe you can teach me something about remembering names. Maybe you're good at it, or you have something that works for you. Post a comment below, and I'd love to hear from you. So thanks, God bless, and I hope you get to use these techniques at your very next introduction. At the end of the first week of class, I teach college, as some of you know. At the end of the first week of class, I used to be terrible at names. Now I know every single person's name in the class. I might have 100 students and all my classes together, right? And I remember every single name. In addition, I teach my students how to remember everybody else's name. And some of them will say, maybe like you have, oh, I'm terrible at names. I can't remember names. Or those are the people I call on. I say, how many people are terrible at names? And some hands go up. And after we play some of these games and associations and visual things like we're talking about in this video, then at the end of that first class, and certainly by the end of the week, I have those same people stand up, and they are able to name almost every single person, and sometimes every single person to a T in that class. And my classes can get pretty big. Some of my classes are as big as 40 students, and they know every single person. So these techniques really do work if you just commit and remember in that moment when you meet people to start using them.